All right, we now welcome on to Grant and guest the one, the only Cory White. Cory, how we doing tonight?
Doing great, man.
Cory is currently, well, I guess not currently, but just finished up his second year, technically first year, as Scranton America's head boys baseball coach. And Cory is on to the next, and I would love it if you would tell us about that.
Yeah, man. It was a tough decision, but Ozark reached out to me a couple months ago, and you know, one of my friends is on the school board, and he was like, "Man, I really would like you to come over here because I think you'd be great." And I was like, I got a good gig.
Right.
Um, and so I kind of brushed it off, and not knowing that he had already put my name in for like to the principal. And I was like, well, crap. Okay. And like 3 weeks later, my principal comes knocking on the door and said, "You're an idiot if you don't take that job." And I was like, wait, my own principal,
Yeah.
was trying to push me away. Not necessarily trying to push me away, but knowing that the opportunity for, the step up, going from 1A to 4A,
Mhm.
still a coaching opportunity. And me and him sat down and talked about it for a couple days in a row,
Mhm.
just kind of trying to weigh out the options. What was good here, what would be better there, or vice versa. Whatever.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't even say necessarily better because I don't know that yet personally,
Yeah,
but
no idea.
um, the growth opportunity more so than anything,
Mhm.
going from to a bigger school and potential opportunities to grow in my career.
Right.
So,
That's
yeah,
awesome, man. I mean, like I think it really speaks to who you are as a person and as a teacher and as a coach to have administration that's so supportive in that way. Like obviously they always want to keep you there. Like anybody that's been in a school system knows that the school is going to prefer to keep you versus, not keep you every single time, especially when you do a good job. But, the fact that he had your career in mind and knew that you were destined for more than just being in Scranton, which is where you grew up. So it's a pretty cool opportunity that you had to come in and coach a sport that you played at your old high school. But at a certain point, all good things have to come to an end.
taking that job, I was like, well, this is awesome. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't get that every day. Go
No.
back to your old high school and lead, your old team
Mhm.
essentially, where you started it all, where you had your firsts and all this. And now I had my first, coaching experience
Yep.
at my high school. So yeah, it was really neat. Um, and like I said, you don't get that opportunity every day.
Yep.
Um,
Did you
even today,
feel,
fast forward 2 years.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, did you feel like there was a lot of pressure on you to win when you got to Scranton because you guys had your group when you were in high school, freshman through senior, you guys had a lot of success in both basketball and baseball. So did you feel like there was a lot of pressure on you to have success once you did get to Scranton?
Oh, absolutely. I was nervous because I had parents and they were all, giving me a hard time, because they're like, hey, you shouldn't be here. You're too young, whatever. Obviously just joking.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, okay, I really do have to step into a role that everybody's going to know me. Everybody's going to criticize me and, put that, not, I wouldn't even say target on my back, but if I went in there and failed, it
yeah,
would look pretty bad,
yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. And what do you feel like your biggest success was as a coach in the last 2 years?
I do feel like that ever since I don't know, I graduated in 2014 and we had a pretty solid year. We never was able to make it past the second round of state,
Yeah.
which kind of sucked. Feel like we always had a decent team, but they're solid competition when you get to that level. Um, but then over the years, you just kind of go back. You'll catch a game or two, and then it's like, man, it's not the same. It's not as good. It's not. The players aren't as driven, and um, so going in my thought process was, what is it going to take to get them to
Right.
love the game?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of us, even when we were in high school, played baseball because it was another sport.
Yeah.
It was something else to do.
Yeah, it was something
I truly
it was something to give you a little bit of a break from, spending all your time thinking about basketball or thinking about
yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
was. Not everybody was basketball, but I mean, there were guys that played football and then would be in football and then just couldn't wait for January to roll around and start throwing the ball again.
right, right, yeah. Um, I mean, I truly loved the game. Did I put enough time into it to really, like, make myself the best player possible? Probably not,
Yeah.
but, um, knowing that going in as a coach, I had never been a coach before.
Mhm.
I didn't go to college to play baseball. That wasn't my mindset going in, but, being a teacher translates over to the coaching side as well, in my opinion, and that's kinda how I rolled with it, the attitudes, the mindsets, how do you get them to love what you're doing? Like,
Mhm.
why am I a coach? I'm not just a baseball coach. There's so much more than just that. And dude, over the last 2 years, it's been awesome. I mean, I don't necessarily truly know how the program was before I got there,
Right. But I think
only from what people have told me.
Yeah. But I think it speaks very speaks to your character that it you didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out exactly what it looked like before you got there. You just knew that you needed to get kids engaged and involved because you guys Scranton doesn't have football. So it's basketball and
Mm,
baseball and the community needs to support that. And I mean, I've you and I had talked about this and I mean, your goals coming in were to get more kids to come out for baseball, which you did. I'm going to brag on you, but you did that,
mm,
and you got more people at the games, which was one of your goals, and you had success doing that. I went to one this year, and that thing had a ton of people there, and you guys beat a team 16-0. So it's just I think it's important that you kept that focus like going forward, and instead of worrying about what it was when you got there, because you never know. You really don't.
right. Then essentially, building off that, it doesn't matter. It
Right.
doesn't matter what it was before,
Mhm.
because what are you gonna do to change that? Or what you hear things, but how can you make it grow without knowing anything?
Mhm.
And then the first year that I got there, I was able to get 20 kids to walk into my door and sign the paper to play baseball.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What in the world?"
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of it had to do was a lot of them knew me,
Yeah.
or knew of me and just kinda wanted to be around, check it out.
Yeah.
But then I really got some of them to enjoy it, even though half of them didn't play. And it wasn't no knock on them, but they still came out to practice. They still worked hard.
Right.
And, that to me was just the fun aspect of it.
Right.
Like, wow.
So you go and you win regionals. And so obviously winning regionals means that you go to the state tournament. So first state tournament berth for Scranton in a couple years, correct?
Yes.
And probably first regional championship in a couple years as well. So talk us through the state tournament and everything you had going on that week. And
So, flashing back to the regional, real quick, talking about the regional championship,
Mhm.
it was a surreal moment for me because I've been there.
Yeah.
Like, I know how that feels as a player,
Yeah.
and to do that as a coach, it was even more just, like, nerve-wracking, you
Yeah.
know?
Which feeling was better as a player, as a coach?
Man, I I'll truly I would say the coaching side.
Yeah, I
I
agree. I mean, I haven't won one yet, so shout out to you for getting one before I did. But uh, you know, I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be the coaching side of things. Just
Yeah,
you from that side of things, you see how much time all those dudes have put in. Even the dudes that don't play, even
yep,
18, 19, 20, even the dudes that don't play, you've seen how much work they've put in, and you know how much work you've put in. And I feel like it's got to make that like unbelievably rewarding.
yep. I mean, you get into that regional championship game, and we had a pretty good dogfight with County Line. Um, they I mean, they competed, and the first 2 times we played them over the regular season, we run ruled them. We played them in district tournament, and they gave us a little bit better of a game,
Mhm.
And then we play them in the regional championship again, and it's like, oh, like they came to play.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a team that you've beat 3 times already
Oh,
to
yeah.
come in there and have the level mind of, "Hey, they didn't just walk here to lose or, drive here to lose."
Yeah.
Sorry, not walk here.
Walk here.
Yeah.
Coach made him walk to scrim.
And get a little exercise. Um, so yeah, and that actually has been situations that I dealt with when we were in high school because it was usually the same 2 or 3 teams always competing against each other in championship games. And, knowing that it's difficult to beat a team 3, 4
Oh,
times,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know? And I mean, after we went, I mean, just everybody, just my whole bench, cleared, and it was just everybody was excited, and um, it was a great feeling. So, I would say yes, absolutely. The coaching side of winning
Yeah.
is far greater than ever was as a player. And I mean, we had a lot of emotional like games as players
Yeah, yeah.
too.
Mhm.
Um, then okay, fast forward to state, we get to first opportunity since COVID to travel to a state tournament, or
Wow.
to really
Yeah,
have
didn't even think about that. Mm,
yeah. I mean, I didn't this is my first coaching year,
yeah.
like you said at the beginning,
Got 4
last
4
year
games last year, 5 games, something like
4.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
And so we go into the situation where, the week that I'm supposed to leave, I'm sitting here thinking like, holy cow, I've only driven a bus 2 times.
Yeah.
And now I'm about to make a 3.5 hour road trip across Arkansas.
Oh, I would have been sweating bullets. I would have been so nervous. You got all those kids on there and everything. I would have been tough.
With yeah, with 18 kids on the bus, and it's just me, and,
Yeah.
none of my assistants were gonna ride with me, they all drove. They're
Yeah.
like, "Nah, like, we'll be alright, we're not gonna be on a bus for 3.5 hours."
Oh, man.
Um, but no, I mean, you go in, some of these kids I only had 2 kids on my team that have played in a state tournament, and that would have been, 2 years ago when they made it. So one of my seniors and one of my juniors were the only 2 on the team then, and they were ninth and 10th graders.
Yeah.
Uh, so everybody else, ninth and 10th graders now, getting their first opportunity to make this big, you know, statement per se in a state tournament game.
Yeah.
And you try to get hyped up for it for the week, have a couple practices and kind of try to settle them down a little bit. And
Mhm.
we hit the road and we get up there. Atmosphere is awesome. I mean, softball's going on right beside us. We're over here. Uh, Crazy thing happened, and it kind of. I'm not gonna sit here and say it cost us the loss, but we get up there. We're supposed to play at 3. Get up there about 1:30, 1:45,
Yeah.
an hour and 15 before the game,
Yeah.
warming up a little bit, and then tragedy happens in the game before. 2 dudes, like, collide in the outfield going for a
Oh my
ball.
gosh.
Yeah, and, it was an hour delay. Um,
I did not know that.
yeah,
No idea.
I hadn't talked about that. It was crazy because we're in the middle of nowhere. I
Right.
don't know if anybody on this thing knows where Izard County is, congrats, because you just don't go there on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
50 minutes for the closest ambulance to get there, and this dude's laying out on the field and had taken basically what had happened. We saw it happen.
Oh,
Yeah, and we were watching the game, and right fielder's coming over and going for the ball. Well, center field's doing the same. Right fielder jumps up. Center fielder goes down. I think he was trying to bail out of the way,
yeah.
and he's like going down. Well, right fielder's knee catches him right here in the jaw.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's
Dude.
out. I mean,
Yeah.
out cold.
No kidding. Oh my gosh.
And well, I think it. One of our nurses actually ran out there pretty quick. Just, I mean, she was props to her because it's just a scary situation.
Yeah.
Said he was probably passed out for about 45 minutes, 4 to 5. Sorry,
Oh,
not
okay. I was gonna say, I was
4 to
like, I was like, "Dude, he'd be dead."
No. um, and then, but it like I said, he was laying out on the field for a solid 45 minutes, actual 45 minutes,
Yeah.
before the ambulance arrived,
Mhm.
and he ended up breaking his jaw in 2 places.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but it kinda set our mood back.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, no kidding.
that was just kinda a
Obviously,
sad story.
you guys were like getting geared up and like amped up and ready to play. And like I'm not trying to like and not trying to like I know you're not trying to make it about you guys either, but like
Yeah,
something like that, like you get to the state tournament, it's the first round, everybody's amped up. Like
ready to go.
there are teams that probably shouldn't have been there that end up making it there, and they're just excited to be there. And so everybody's like the energy is like through the roof. And then something like that happens and you got to play the game after it, and everybody's
Yeah.
mood just immediately comes back down. And
Mhm.
like that
I
would
mean, even they had to finish the game, right? I mean, they're only in the 4th inning, had to finish the game. They're still winning,
yeah,
but they give up 4 runs,
yep,
and it's like, if they lose that game,
yep.
yeah, I mean, crushed,
Oh
immediately
yeah,
crushed.
yep.
But it ended up being we were supposed to start at 3. We didn't start till 4:30.
Dang.
And it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Basically, 3 hours after we had already been there, we finally get to play, and that doesn't normally happen on road trips.
Right. And that's not you making an excuse, but it definitely
No,
factors
no,
into all that.
it was just when you have to sit around there. We warmed up 3 times,
Man.
and it was like, I mean, hey,
Uh,
go throw again, go stretch again,
yep.
you know,
Yeah.
and then we get to the game, and I felt good about it. I mean, got the scouting reports on the team, and kind of was just asking around because they're schools that we've played in the past, or not. I know some of the people over there, so um, I felt good. I was like, okay, shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Well, that's the shocker, I guess. Reality kind of
Yep.
sets in and hits,
Yep.
and they really they came to play. It didn't matter what you heard about them, and that shows you it's kind of like the whole you flash back to March Madness.
Mhm.
It's just like everybody's going to come to play and give it their best effort. You got to show up too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we got all these young guys, and I feel like they just got out there, and it was just nerves, 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 and it just became too much for us to climb back out of. Um,
It's just it sounds like reality hit them and they realized that like they were 3 hours from Scranton. They weren't playing in their backyards anymore, and it was and
right,
and
right.
got caught up in that moment, which isn't the worst thing in the world, because we can't act like we wouldn't have done the same thing. As like, because I know you play a lot of freshmen and sophomores and like young dudes. You only had three seniors,
Hmm.
and so it's like it two two seniors,
Two
and
that traveled.
but and that makes it tough, and you don't have guys that have been in that moment before. But it's that learning experience, and that's the stuff that these guys are going to pull from for the rest of their lives, which is
Yep.
a really cool thing to think about. You know what I mean?
Well, and yeah, I think the main thing that killed me more than anything with the loss, it's you go up there and you lose, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But then you go up there, you lose, and then your head coach is leaving. You
Yeah.
know, that set in really hard for me the second we got our last out,
Yep.
and I was like, dang, you know. And we have our team meeting at the end, and I'm trying to just dial it on all in and say, listen, like, we had a great season.
Yep.
Regardless of the outcome that we didn't want, we still did really well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and you know, I mean, Lord, when you have a ninth grade lefty pitcher
Yep.
that gives you his all year long,
Hmm.
goes into the state game, and last 3 innings,
Yep.
mowed him down.
Yep.
I mean, as a ninth grader,
Yeah.
and you could tell he was there. I mean, the mentality of him. If you had that mentality of it, the whole team, that team is ridiculous.
But that's the kind of kid that's going to be incredibly successful in life. Like
Yep.
whether he plays baseball beyond high school or not, like obviously like because I know who you're talking about, and you've told me quite a bit about him and how hard he works, and he's coachable and everything like that. Obviously, yeah, like you would love it if he gets the opportunity to play college baseball and everything like that. But even if he doesn't, it's that kind of guy that can always step up. It's mindset, it's mentality. The kind of guy that can always step up to the plate and deliver for you is a guy that you want in your corner no matter what.
Yep.
But
Uh, but yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, great season.
mm,
I enjoyed it. I mean, first full year of coaching, never got to do this before,
yep,
and it truly made my thoughts. Because I had been told, multiple people like, you got to really want this to enjoy it,
yeah,
because my old coach when I was in high school, my basketball coach, he told me, he said, "Are you sure you want to do this for the rest of your life?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was
yeah,
like, "But I enjoy it. I think I'm going to enjoy it," is what I told him.
yeah,
I said, "I want to give it a shot." And he kind of spit out jokingly. He said, "The money's not there, man." And I was
yeah,
like, "I know, I get it."
yeah.
But I was that kid in high school that was driven and had the mindset of, "I'm going to do this because this is what I want to do."
Right.
Um, and I had always had that thought since I was young. This is what I wanted to do. And now that I've finally gotten to do it, the coaching side of it, teaching, I love teaching. I don't think I'll ever get rid of that.
Yeah.
But the coaching side finally set in for me. And it's like, dang, the amount of time and effort I've put into it, the constant feedback that I get from my players. Like I sent you that message this morning. One
Yeah.
of my very closed-minded seniors tells me that he appreciates me and that I'm one of the best coaches he's ever had,
Hmm.
all in a year's time.
Yeah.
That I could have changed his life immediately right there. Yeah, and I had no idea.
Right, exactly. And sometimes that the difficult part for us is that sometimes there are kids that actually reach out and tell you that kind of stuff, but there are a lot of other kids that
I don't.
that played for you this year that'll reach out to you 6 or 7 years down the road when they are starting to do the exact same thing and tell you, "Hey, coach, I really appreciated you always pushing me to be my best and to bring it every day and have the right mindset and mentality." And it is very rewarding when you actually get that, like kind of in that moment, because you guys are fresh off a loss. I mean, you lost this last weekend, so it's still really fresh, but just that you have that and that you were able to get through to a kid that everybody else told you weren't going to get through to. Like,
Yeah.
and every teacher and coach has been told that about a player at some point. And when you end up being the one to like get through to that guy and make him realize that there's stuff bigger than just what he's taught, where he's at right now, that's what's going to set those guys up for success long term, which is
Yep.
awesome. Really is
Oh,
awesome.
it was great. I mean, and then you get the parent side. They're all appreciative, and the hating that I'm leaving, and
Yeah.
which makes it even worse. I
Hmm.
mean, the gas station ladies down the road, they're like, "I can't believe you're doing this to us." And I'm just like, "Sorry that I won't be in for breakfast every morning. Like, my bad." Like, it's just
Uh,
it's all closing in on me.
yeah.
And I don't even remember who it was. It wasn't long ago. Somebody came up to me and like, "I heard you're leaving." It wasn't even from anybody in the town.
Yeah.
It's like, "I heard you're leaving."
Yeah.
And they're like, "That sucks." And I was like, I, I hear it from everybody around here. I don't need to hear it from you,
But
And
but man, like on a real note, like that's when you know you've made a huge impact on a community and that it's
yep,
been bigger than baseball. Like, because you stay at Scranton for 10 years, you're gonna have seasons where you win a bunch of games like you did this year, and you're gonna have seasons where you win no games, and you're still going to have that same response. No, like even if you had left after a 5-win season, like you're still gonna have that same response because the people in your community know and appreciate you for what you've done for those kids and for the school. And I think that's the coolest thing ever, man, for real.
yep. I mean, the one standing thing that I always tell them, and we'll have meetings after practices, meetings after games, whatever, where we're just talking. And
Mhm.
I think they get annoyed. I mean, I'm always like, they come up there wanting to just like stand up and talk to me. And I'm like, nah, take a knee. Like, we're
Yeah.
gonna be for a second. And it's not that I'm like gonna sit there and just drill them with stuff, but I always make a point to be like, it's more than baseball.
Yep.
It's more than this right here, than just us having conversations or whatever the case, us trying to come up with strategies. That's me. That's my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's there's so much more than just doing that, and that's been the fun part for me. I've
Mm.
told multiple people, I'm not the best coach. I made some dumb decisions this year. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, just whatever the case may be. I was
Yeah.
like, but I can promise you, I will match anybody on the side of relating and like digging into the kids and the athletes and trying my best to
Yeah.
get in their heads and get them to realize
Mhm.
that once they step out of here, I mean, unless you're going to play college ball or whatever, life happens. I mean,
Yep.
it's coming, you know, and that's something I never got taught. And I mean, as coaches wise, you got to have a really good coach
Mhm.
to have that, instilled in your head. Your family can do it. I feel like that was kind of where I got it from, mom and dad, more
Mhm.
so than my coaches.
Yeah.
But you run into a lot of people that don't have good families, and it's like somebody's got to do it,
Yep.
and that's where we come in.
Mhm.